So welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on modernising with Helix. Today's presenter is Simon Crabtree from our AVP from Consulting Services. We've got two sessions that are running. The next one will also be on the 17th, which is going to be more focused towards our EMEA and US region. Before we get started and I hand over to Simon, just a couple of reminders. You've got the live Q&A section of Zoom that you can use if you have any questions during this session. Otherwise, we will now get started and I will hand over to Simon for his full introduction and to go through his slides. And do remember it's about a 40-minute presentation and then we'll go to live Q&A. So over to you, Simon.
Thanks, Sam. Hopefully my audio is coming through okay. Really excited to be here and to talk to everybody about this incredibly relevant topic. And we're going to start off by thinking about modernization in today's world, in particular in today's digital world. And we're going to think about how we can, really change our business and update our processes. Using the Helix platform, which will be a game changer in that journey. So let's get started with, first of all, just a little bit of an intro on modernization. And I'm sure everyone watched the Olympics, or maybe some of you did, but maybe you heard about the Olympics. Something which was a real interest to me was an American named Noah Lyle. And Noah is an Olympic sprinter. He's famous for the 200-meter sprint, and he made a sort of commitment to himself and splashed this across the world that he would also win the 100-meter sprint. So he's a loud and brash kind of individual, big following on social media, and amazingly, he won, and he won by 0.005 seconds that 100-meter sprint, which when you think about it is just amazing in itself. The win with that level of interval, just unbelievable. But it was also a pivotal moment in modern branding, because in this day and age, in our digital age that we're in, this victory was instantly shared, analyzed, celebrated on social media, and it really amplified the impact of his win far beyond the stadium. And so, this victory turned into a bit of a viral moment, really sort of fueled his online presence, and he could really connect with fans on an emotional level. And to me, that's a perfect example of how modern technology is being used to elevate athletes' careers in ways that were completely unimaginable 20 to 30 years ago. But consider the other side of this equation. Noah is able to connect with fans through multiple channels. He holds more power with his audience than ever before. But on the end user side, on the consumer side, it's easy to engage. It's also easy to turn off, easy to swipe, easy to put down your phone and effectively disengage with these megastars. And so, for Noah to keep his engagement levels off, he has to continuously create content that is ever expanding, that really showcases off what he's doing and allows him to connect, with all of his fans. And so the challenge today isn't just, of course, winning, and it isn't just having a presence across many platforms, but it's creating content that compels fans to, stay, to interact and become loyal followers in a world where switching off is just a tap away. So if we turn to IT for a second, appealing to end users and providing a modern user interface has really never been more important. And so the next sort of thing to discuss is, modernization and generative AI. And every sort of commentator has a view on some fantastic statistic on generative AI. I'm not one of those people. But what I have seen from Gartner is that Gartner has come out and said that by 2027, Gen AI will be able to explain legacy applications and create appropriate replacements. Just think about that. Mainframe systems, that old system that's been hanging around for 15 years in your data center, which nobody knows about because they've left the organization and you haven't been able to upgrade or modernize it. Gen AI will be able to help you understand it, because that's probably gone out of your business as well, and also create appropriate replacements. And because, of course, it's AI that's doing this work, it's going to reduce the cost of this modernization by 70%. Just think about that again. There'll be no more strangleholds. You as a CIO or an IT practitioner will be able to choose to modernize, because cost is no longer going to be a prohibitor. And if cost is no longer a problem, then there really is no choice but to modernize. If you think about it, you must continue to modernize, to continue to engage all of those end users that are requiring and needing modern user interfaces to interact with on a day-to-day basis. Everybody wants it. That's clear. Everybody's demanding it. And modernization of IT platforms will be more accessible than ever. So what about the results? Well, BMC also is doing exactly the same thing. We've got a number of back office systems in our IT infrastructure that runs our business. And we're doing exactly the same thing with our modernization process. And we're also using our BMC Helix platform to help us. And recently it's helped us by preventing 64% of outages, which I think is absolutely fantastic for us as a business. How do we know this? How do we know that we've prevented 64% of outages? Well, we have the data, and we have the indicators on that data that has led to prior outages. And our tools are able to help us weave through and understand the low-level data and apply that through our service model technology to bubble it up to understand not only which service is going to be impacted, but the time of the impact. And when we can understand the time of the impact, well, that's when we can put in place automated remediations to prevent those outages from happening. So I'm going to invite a little bit of audience participation now. And if you jump onto AHA slides, let's see how that goes. And what I'd like you to do is to connect in and talk about, and maybe, interact here and put up on screen, what is one of the most memorable modernizations that you've been a part of? Maybe it's in your career, or maybe it's just something that happened in the city that you live in, something like that. So let's go and kick off this AHA slide, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so we've got one person joined. Let's see how many others join, and put in something that's happened in your career, some example of modernization. Things that come to mind for me. I was actually in Singapore last week, and I've been traveling to Singapore for years and years and years, and I can still remember when the Marina Bay Sands came on. It was just after the GFC, and Marina Bay Sands is just an absolutely stunning example of modern architecture being deployed, which was really fantastic. All right, I see we've got a bit of quiet audience. Let's have a look at the second sort of slide. What obstacle did you encounter as you were trying to achieve this particular modernization? Was it lack of resources, or did you have competing priorities within your business? What else happened that meant that you had challenges achieving your modernization. Lack of knowledge is coming through. Very good. All right. We will move on to the next part of the presentation. So, what are the challenges we see in modernization? First of all, underestimating complexity. Approximately 50% of IT projects fail to meet their objectives due to underestimating the complexity involved. Now, that's actually easy to fix, right? That just means you need to put more labor, which usually involves more time and more cost, but ultimately it's something that can be fixed, right? Second sort of challenge you see is a resistance to change. And, high numbers of projects still see resistance to change, and it can happen for a long time afterwards. And maybe there's reasons for that. Maybe there's been a lack of management support. Maybe there's some cultural factors. Maybe there's some training that wasn't deployed appropriately. Maybe you didn't include OCM or organizational change management as part of your program. I had an interesting sort of insight the other day. At BMC, we've been using a self-service help desk for at least 5 years, where everything's categorized, and you log into our Helix portal and you log your issue. And I came across something the other day, and one of the people that was sort of working on an initiative for me had said they had emailed the help desk. And I was like, emailed the help desk? We got rid of that 5 years ago, because we all know that when you email the help desk, it goes to sort of priority 4 on the list, and things don't get looked at. And in this particular case, the change that I was trying to get done didn't get looked at either. So there's some sort of resistance to change there. The final sort of challenge we see with these modernization projects is that 40% of companies actually fail to align their digital transformation effort to an actual strategic business objective. And this is a really significant challenge, because when you don't have that alignment, and when your new technology isn't lining up to your strategic goals, well, that's when board of directors get involved, because board of directors have announced in their annual reports and set expectations with shareholders that a particular value is going to be transferred to the business. And that doesn't happen if the technology is not aligned to the business objectives. And so the impact of this one is that boards are furiously or quickly trying to readjust shareholder expectations. And that's a much tougher thing than just adding some more time and cost. So what are we doing about this at BMC? How are we overcoming these challenges to provide a better modernization approach? Well, we're going to see some of our solutions in just a second, but our solutions all provide a modern customer experience. That's for the end user world, but it's also for the DevOps folks. So for our DevOps folks on the call, we provide a codeless world for you to sort of harness whatever the operations team gives you with a breadth of reach across the operations domain. It gives you that snippets and insights that you need in order to sort of solve problems now. And our delivery approach also has a modern take, from a professional services projects perspective. We've built out recently some good, better, best templates that allow executives to get value and outcome that they've signed up for, and we'll walk through those in just a second. Of course, we're also building AI, not just into our products, as you'd expect, but also into our delivery. Let's start with some examples. So this is our modern architecture, and this serves as both a foundation for our AI technologies, but also for our native capabilities. And so how to read this slide is basically on the very left-hand side, you've got all the different data elements that get fed into our system. So incidents or events, topology of systems, changes, defects, all of those things get fed into our system. And then you have the Helix platform along the bottom. This is our multi-tenant architecture that provides all of the features and capabilities that you see today. This is where we've deployed AI and our large language models to provide use cases for consumption. And so let's talk about how we do some of the really interesting use cases that leverage AI today. So an interesting one, I think, is an incident summary. So let's just talk through that particular use case. We have a service desk agent who is just clicking open an incident that he needs to go and work on. Now, behind the scenes, the data, so the events or the logs, have all been fed into the Helix platform, and the Helix platform has run that through its predictive AI, run that through its causal AI to identify what's going on with that particular incident. So it's looked straight away immediately for root cause isolation to try to understand what's happening. It's looking for anomaly detection to see if this is the random thing that shouldn't be happening. And it's looked through service impact to see if this particular incident is also impacting others. And so when it gets that data, and this is all as the service desk agent opens up his ticket, it then sends that data to our generative AI. And the generative AI, which now has the input from causal AI, it's got all the information about the logs. It's already got a view of what's caused the incident and why. And so the generative AI then goes and builds out an incident summary for you, a plain English or other language, if that's your language that you're working with, but a plain English summary that allows the service desk agent to say, I see your printer is down and it's this particular printer name and it's stopped because of this reason. And I now have a way to remediate and act on that printer going down. So that's just an example of incident summary. A similar flow happens for another use case that we have called best action recommendation, which again, data comes through on the left, gets fed through our Helix platform down the bottom, goes through the causal AI. And in this case, because we've got an incident, it actually goes through the similar situations AI. And similar situations is looking for the same sort of thing that happened in the past. We find an example here in this particular use case. It then goes to the generative AI and goes to the best action recommendation feature. And the best action recommendation feature looks into the fact that this incident happened in the past, and then again in clear text provides you an example of how to fix the recommendation based on your knowledge articles or based on what happened beforehand, and gives you maybe one or two options on how to fix that particular problem. This is all instantly presented to the service desk agent to allow a much better and modern user experience. I thought it would be interesting to then sort of take a view of how this manifests itself from a user perspective. So let's take a look at the developer. Okay, so this is someone who's a DevOps person. They want to create an app, and in this particular case, they're using our Innovation Studio. And in the future, shortly, they'll be able to use GPT Helix GPT, which you can see on the sidebar here to the right, to create this workflow automatically. Let's go through this process really quickly. So you can see here that we've started out a workflow, and we're just sort of getting started. And I'm thinking I need to create a procurement workflow. And so what we put into the chat here, as you can see down the bottom, is I need to create a workflow to onboard my vendors into procurement. Using your best practice, write me a workflow to do here. And you can see that this happens, but the best practice is obviously too much. What actually happens is Justin says, actually, I don't need the CFO to approve this because we're a smaller customer, but I do need it to interact with my Oracle procurement system. Can you add in that? And can you also add in, the SAP interface so that it creates the vendor in SAP and is ready to go? Then it says, can we run a test? And, away the system goes and runs a test. So this is an example of, BMC, ChatGPT technologies really sort of getting involved in the day-to-day usage of a DevOps person. If we look to the next use case, actually, just before I go to that one, let me just step back here. It doesn't seem to want to. Here we go. Okay, great. I should mention that the Innovation Studio and our business workflow products are really, really powerful. And this is actually one of our best kept secrets in the platform. And a number of our customers don't really sort of realize that they can create these simple workflows and simple processes so easily and effectively. One of our customers, a North American large retailer, started out with 0 of these workflows, and one of their devs just got on board one day and created one. They now have thousands of requests per year handled through, these sort of simple workflow updates. So I really sort of suggest that as you're thinking about modernizing your user experience and your processes, that you look into Innovation Studio. All right, let me get this back on track. Okay, second use case is in the change risk analysis space. So this is an operator, again, having to use Helix as part of their day-to-day business, and they're looking at a CAD. They're running a change advisory board, and let's just play the video. So here we go. Katie's looking at all the changes coming up in her calendar, and she notices that some haven't been approved. So she asks Helix GPT for some insights, and Helix GPT comes back saying, hey, yeah, there's 27 that change requests already approved, but 3 need further investigation. Okay, can you tell me some more details about the third, change item that's in the queue here? And up it pops with more details. And you can see the insight that's provided here is where actually ChatGPT said, well, the last time this happened, there was a big impact on the service. And so, Katie kind of says, well, should I actually approve it? And actually ChatGPT says, based on the knowledge and based on the risk, you shouldn't approve it. And here's some text for you to go back to the developers team with, in order to make sure that they, submit a change that's guaranteed to not cause issues. So, well done, Katie. Okay, and finally, in terms of another sort of user in our systems, we have Chris, and Chris is using the best action recommendation feature. And so Chris is probably working in the NOC. He's in the monitoring space. You can see there from our monitoring tool set. And he's been assigned an incident that has come up, and you can see the situation summary that's presented in the middle of the screen here. There's a plain English version of what's going on. This is generated by our GPT product set. And then he's also clicked on Ask GPT, Ask Helix GPT for a best action recommendation. And so you can see here, the recommendation that's come back is to restart the pod automation and run this every time this similar situation occurs. This is the kind of automatic remediations that you can put in place in order to remediate issues automatically. Okay, so again, there's just some use cases of, I guess, some of the personas that use our products and how they might be interacting with a modern day service management system. Now, a lot of our customers ask, how do we get there? How do we deploy? How do we get our data in the right spot in order to be able to take advantages of all these new features that BMC is building? And so BMC sort of launched a new framework that we've called Good, Better, or Best. Not sure why we chose that name, but we did. And it's really talks about a path for you to get the most out of those service ops features that we've sort of just spoken about. So it's a framework, it's a best practice framework that we're talking to all of our customers about around how to, go from wherever you are today to getting the most out of your service management and AI system to support the service ops use cases that you want to do. And it starts on the very left-hand side here under good. And typically what we're trying to do in good is modernize the service management experience. So we want portals for end users. We want, from a BMC product perspective, smart IT and progressive views across the service desk. We want to be using our dashboards for reporting to make that really simple. And we want to be starting to build out the different service models with our blueprint technology that can then be used later. And then once we've sort of finished good, the next sort of step is to leverage some of that data, and really sort of extend beyond IT. And when I say extend beyond IT, I really mean that innovation studio use case that we saw a little bit earlier. So we want customers to build those codeless apps. We want you to integrate, different apps to our platform using our iPad solutions. We want you to use Innovation Studio. We want you to use BWF to build an app and see how easy it is to do, using obviously the trusted data that you've built out earlier. And then finally, we want you to start to begin the AI journey. And I'll go into more detail on this in a second. And then moving over to Best, we're thinking about, some more advanced AI-centric service management use cases. We're thinking about employee experience by deploying line of business modules such as HR service management or security incident vulnerability, any of those sort of content packs that BMC has, roll out those apps and those catalog items in order to build out that experience. And finally, we finish off by providing that sort of single pane of glass view across your different service ops use cases by integrating AI ops and service management. Now, there's some more details here on this particular slide. I just talks through in detail, I guess, some of the features that you'd be sort of working to in each of those different steps. I'm not going to step through that again. So let's continue our journey on from our user persona experience. And in the last three personas we looked at were our DevOps teams, was our NOC management team, and was our change risk manager. Let's now go to the front end more of the system. So in this particular in this particular use case, we have Steve, and Steve is actually an end user of a telco company, and he's got some issues with his bill, and he's trying to interact with the service management system of the telco company to resolve his issues. Let's go through this example for you. So you can see here that he's logged in. He says that he's got a billing issue, and away we go. I seem to have there we go. So he says he's got a billing issue, and immediately the Helix systems comes back with not just, hi, how you going, but hey, we know a bit about you, Steve. We know that you paid $140 last month. We know that you have this service. We know that you have this many devices. But Steve says that's fantastic, but really I'm being overcharged and the bill is too high. And again, through this interactive experience, the ChatGPT focuses on which particular bill, and is there a particular call that was the issue? And Steve said, I didn't remember calling Dubai. And then the AI sort of says, would you like to dispute it? It's an easy response from Steve with a yes. And what happens here is that an incident is created and is sent to the service desk to deal with. And GPT also provides Steve with a link to the refund policy, so he can be more informed about how refunds are working with this particular telco customers. And Steve's pretty happy with this result. This took him all of about 3 minutes to get done, maybe even 30 seconds. And he gave a 5-star rating. Very nice, Steve. Well done. So this is, this is again a great sort of user experience and a fantastic example of self-service. Now, one of our major multinational European banks just went through a similar exercise of really looking at their self-service. And they had a global sort of banking network. They had different service desk approaches across the world. And so what they did was consolidate down from 3 different instances down to 1. And by introducing their self-service, it resulted in a 30% improvement in their adoption rates just by this sort of one change. So, I think we're on the right path here. Let's take a look at this from the perspective of the service desk agent. So Oliver is a service desk agent, and he's been assigned the incident that our previous end user customer Steve has sent through. And you can see here on this particular screen, he's been assigned the incident, and he's selected Ask Helix GPT what he should do. And the insights that have come back are, again, here's the best action for you to do, Oliver, which is, send an incident to the NOC or to investigate. But when looking through the details and seeing that Steve is actually a loyal customer, providing a few different options around how he could, make Steve's pain go away a little bit by offering some free international minutes on a call, or provide free roaming for a month, that kind of thing. So trying to keep things really free and easy. Now, this kind of chat sort of interaction is available for you today. And, another one of our customers, which happens to be a large pharmaceutical company or pharmaceutical retailer company, recently deployed some of our chat work, and in the first year had 82,000 chat conversations, and which resulted in a 31% deflection rate. So these chat conversations are really reducing the load on the service desk, which is fantastic. All right, another AHA slide. I'm going to ask you to jump into AHA again, and just let me set it up. Here we go. Which of these modern use cases from Helix kind of excites you the most? Is it the AI-driven conversational self-service? Is it getting best action insights through AIOps? Is it improving your change and release sort of confidence using Helix GPT and the power of insights into the change and release process? Is it the workflow designer in our AI design tool, or is it the AI-generated summaries for customer service agents? All right, quite an audience today, no problem. Well, I thought I'd talk a little bit about a few customers that have worked with us through this journey. The first one is TalkTalk, who is a leading UK fibre broadband provider. Reaches approximately 96% of the UK population. They're both retail and wholesale. And because they wholesale, it means it's really sort of a critical national infrastructure across the UK. TalkTalk's been with BMC for 15 years and recently moved to SaaS, and we've helped them modernise their systems and processes, as you can see by some of the content on the page here. But what they've been able to do is to really enable that self-service fulfillment to bring down the requests in the IT service desk management department. They've been able to quickly identify 90% root cause of issues that are coming through. They run 250 technical changes a week through their infrastructure. And I think you can see how some of the AI tools that we've got really help in their day-to-day business. The next customer is actually BMC. And BMC has a really interesting use case. We obviously have both our back-end IT systems that we use to run our business, and of course we host and manage the Helix platform, and so we have a large sort of footprint there, and with a global data center network servicing all of our customers. And so when we added in some of our AI tools into our service desk management process here, we saw a fantastic reduction in mean time to resolution of 60%. I've already spoken to you about us being able to reduce the outages by 64%. But I think one of the more interesting things here is that we now have over 1,000 automatic monthly remediations. So this is, when we're seeing things hit a particular threshold, we're able to automatically run a script or a process on Ansible or something like that helps solve an issue for us and hopefully prevents an outage before it happens. So quite often I get asked, Simon, this is fantastic. We love the use cases. We love the personas. It's exactly where we want to go. We're bought into BMC. We love the vision. We love what you're doing with the product. How do we actually start? How do we get on this journey? What should we do first? And this is where I would bring you back to this sort of templated diagram and think about this as a maturity curve moving from left to right or from good up to best. And so most customers have either just upgraded, they've migrated, or they've got a greenfields deployment. So that's kind of step one done. Some of our customers are still using some of our older technology, and we encourage them to quickly move and modernize to smart IT and digital workplace and leverage Digital Workplace Studio to provide that really modern user experience. And of course, we must train everybody to use dashboards and get rid of some of the legacy reporting ways of doing things. Most people are there. Right? Most people have got that experience today. What they haven't got is sort of from step 5 onwards. And so that's where we really sort of think, if you're an organization and you've done steps 1, 2, 3, 4, what's next for you? What can really be a quick win? What can make a big impact for you? So we suggest starting with 5 or 6 or 9 there. And so 5 is really getting some of your data foundation correct. So this is starting to build some service models, use our blueprints technology, upgrade discovery if you need to, use intelligent integrations to get, visibility into things, and really sort of start to make sure your CMDB integrity can be trusted. So build 1 or 2 service models, get yourself, which by the way is easy to do, build 1 or 2 service models, get yourself familiar with the technology, and then work out a plan to quickly expand it from there. Number 6 is something that I talked about earlier, extending beyond IT. Use the power of our codeless apps to build an app to solve a business problem that you have today. It can be a 3-step process, it doesn't matter. What you need to do though is use the technology, see how it gets deployed easily, and understand how those workflows come together. And the 3rd is step 9 on the journey, which is really sort of, deploying the first Helix GPT agents for use within your organization. So giving your end users that transformative chatbot experience that we saw earlier, giving out your users, the situational summaries and the incident summaries and those kind of level of Gen AI automations, and helping to mitigate your change risk levels. They're the 3 things that we suggest you start on after you've done sort of steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I actually do that? So it's actually rather simple. Most of our customers these days have a success subscription with BMC that allows them to have unlimited education. And so you can see here I've got a list of education lined up against the different capabilities and benefits that you can use to help educate yourself and your teams to get going with these things. Or alternatively, if you actually want some of the professional services teams from BMC or our partners to come and help you, then you could use some of the catalog offerings that we have here that you can also see on the right-hand side to get you started and get you going. All meant to be very simple, very easy to do. So in closing, I'd like to leave you with three things. The first is digital transformations and modernization needs a bold vision statement. You need to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and be bold and not be afraid to move forward. Be a little bit like Noah Lyle, right? The Olympic sprinter that we talked about at the start. Be loud, be brash, make some big statements, and really hold true to your vision. The second thing is use our best practice template. So use the template that I just showed you and get some quick wins on the board. That's our best way to show to your organization that things can be simple, things can be quick. We don't need to be talking about large 2-year transformation projects here. We're talking about months to get things going, weeks to get things going, in some cases days. So really think about how you can get some quick wins on the board. And the last thing is think about the herd. A lot of our customers are undertaking the same modernization. So we have a number of roadshows in different countries. We have a number of user groups. Go to those events, meet up with different people from BMC, from our partners, other BMC customers, understand what they're doing and follow through. And last I think plug for me, Sam, before I hand back to you, is we've just launched our Helix GPT assessment and training. I really encourage people to have a look at that. It takes about 3 to 4 hours to do, and you can really sort of understand how to, use AI in your existing BMC Helix solution. It's easy to do. It's another quick win, and I recommend going forward with that.
Thank you, Simon.
And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can find more access to other webinars like this, and get more information from BMC. And Sam, I think I'll hand it over to you.